Hey, how's it going? Now, I know it's been a while, but I think I'm back for at least a release that I wanted to show you guys. Say It Again, you know my latest song, Say It Again? Yeah, I have the project file right here, which I'll be showing you how I made it. So, let's just jump into it, I guess. So, I feel like let's start with the intro. I'll play you a bit of the song first. Here's
Say it again, again. Won't you say it again?
So this is the song. If you haven't heard it, like, you should go and check it out after this video or even before. It's your choice. So to begin the song with, I have this atmosphere, this sort of like texture thing to start it all off. Like this, it sounds kind of like basic. It doesn't really sound that fancy. So I added a volume automation and a pitch automation to make it sound like you're starting a video game. Especially if you played the game called Poppy Playtime. For some reason, I really wanted that sound in here. I don't know, it's not really a spooky song, but I kind of liked it. So, you know, it kind of jumps in. And then to give it a bit more impact, I have this reverse and this deep kick. So, you know, it hits you in. It starts to drop. The song. And then I have this Reese bass filtering in. No, sorry. Reese bass coming in slowly. It's just a gain automation I did. Oh my god, my CPU. One sec. Gotta this vocal coming in. There are only like two layers, one like very high pitched and like foreman shifted down and washed out with reverb layer, and your normal layer. There's some rain, an atmosphere thing, gated atmosphere, which you can find in my sample pack if you wanted. It's free. The link should be in the description, if I remember to put it there, I guess. This sound right here, this is just a piano. It's one of my most favorite pianos called Lo-Fi Light. Oh, sorry, it's not a piano. Lo-Fi Light. There is another version of this called Lo-Fi Light 2, which I used now, but you know, this is the first version. And to make the sound, if I turn off these effects, it sounds like this. Very beautiful, right? It's super beautiful. The effects that makes the metallic sound is this plugin named Lo-Fi Space. It's from Waves. It was free for a limited time, so I grabbed it and I kind of just went wild with it with these settings. I think this is mostly the default sound, but like just a bit of length, time sort of thing, and BPM. I've switched it up a bit. I don't exactly remember how I did this, but yeah, I just tweaked a bit of knobs and it worked. I know it's not super professional, but yeah, that's how it is. I have this vocal reverse to bring you in, to like, you know, let the listener know that the vocal's gonna change here.
Say it again.
Or at least, like, I think. I have another atmosphere layer. This sort of watery thing. Let's move on, I guess.
Say it again, again. Won't you say it again, again? Say it again, say it again, say it again, say it
build up. I bring in these like cashmere drums, and we have our classical sweeps or hit impacts, all from Cymatics. Gotta love Cymatics. The melody here changes for the piano. It kind of goes to like a bit more like driving melody, I guess. I add this pluck here, bell or pluck. Funny story, like this is kind of the part where the whole song started. Not exactly this, but the build-up part. You know, where the vocal is kind of driving it, the song. And with this pluck, where the whole idea of the song came to life. Kind of interesting what sort of things can inspire a whole song, right? We have our classical build-up drums and risers. Yeah, to give it a bit more like of an impact, I have volume automation, a endless smile, and a high pass filter that's cutting out all the low ends for all the low end from the drums, at least the main drums. There's this funny layer, this cool smooth layer, which I call a smooth top line, because it sounds like a smooth top line. It's sort of like a flute sound that I made in Serum, if I can find it. Messed around, like these are the effects. There's not really much going on. It's kind of like a random sound that I made a while ago and I decided to use. So yeah, and there's like this atmosphere layer too, another one. Yeah, so let's move on to the drum. Okay, to begin the drop, I have this. I recorded the reverb sweep from the plucks and just reversed it. I have these fills right here. Your typical fill, I guess. They're from like Cashmere, Vinca. I have a kick reverse. Gotta have the kick reverse, you know, in an EDM song. So for the drop, I have, you know, the main element, the ARP. Which is just a saw. Just a saw wave. Your typical saw wave, and like very short attack, very short like decay, EQ, bit of saturation, soft clipping, chorus, and OTT, some reverb. You know, your typical basic sort of sound design. I added this like reverb, so every time the bass doesn't play, this reverb will swell up. It just gives, in my opinion, more movement and makes the song a bit more interesting. Yeah, right. You can't really hear it, like these small ones, you can't really hear them in the whole song, but in my opinion it does give a bit more movement, so I would do it. I would suggest doing it, but it's your choice if you want to do it or not. Let's move on to the bass. Very playful bass, right? So to make this like very thick bass, I have a white noise, which is distorted, and then, you know, has all its like low mids removed. It only has like high mids and very highs, you know, just your like high layers. It doesn't need to have more layers. There's this bass, the main bass. It's just a square. No, sorry, this is not the bass. It's just this thing, this wavetable here, which is just a square wave, a bit small on one side. This distortion is the main thing that makes the sound, like, you know. Yeah, that distortion is the main thing that makes the sound, and you know, for processing, I have an OTT, an EQ, a very basic EQ, and RBass. I really love RBass. I would recommend getting this plugin, but yeah, it's really good. Then I have another bass layer, which is in mono, I think. No, it's just a quieter layer, but equally thick. Again, EQ and OTT, just basic stuff. And then I have a Reese bass layer, just a basic Reese bass I made with some chorus, hyperdimension, EQ. For processing, I have it in mono. I have OTT, RBass, and EQ. That's about it. For sub bass, I have like a very thick sub bass. Glide to it to give it a bit more movement. It gives it a bit more movement. Yeah. For processing, I have a Camel Crusher, a Trash 2, which is really good. I really like this plugin. EQ, removing everything but the lows. A bit of boost right here to 131, 130, yeah, between them. And then I have everything routed to this bus where I have a compressor, Molotov. This is free, by the way. It's such a good compressor, you should get it. A sound goodizer, and this thing to sidechain the whole drop. And I have this atmosphere layer too, if it will ever play. A bit more character, so I would recommend adding a bit more atmosphere to all your drops. It's really a useful thing that you should add. For processing, it's just a OTT, EQ, wider, and a bit of like sidechain, and that's it. You can also route it in the bass bus. In this case, I didn't do it for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah, you can definitely route it to the bass bus. Okay, so for the drums, I have like, you know, very basic hard wave drums with a bit of like extra snares. This is a drum loop that I have, but I just cut out snare so it wouldn't like interfere with the main snare, because you know, it sounded better in my opinion. This is a random hi-hat I made, which sounds pretty cool in my opinion. There's this thing right here, this Foley, of like interesting ear candy in this drop. I didn't add too many things in the drum section because, you know, the drop already is like super energetic and it has already a lot of things going on. With the art, it's already way too much in my opinion, so I don't really add it much. Yeah, it's just Cymatic riser that's super distorted and sidechain. That's about it for this one. This the vocal here. Again, it's not playing. That's the same vocal that's in the build-up, with just like a bit of distortion and Foreman shifted down and a bit of reverb. That's it. And you know, sidechain to the drop, with the whole drop it's sidechained, and yeah, that's about it. This mix right here, this mix level, it's just a reverb because I didn't really want it to have the vocal swell with the ARP in the drop. It didn't really sounded that good. I only wanted the ending tail, so you know, it would just fade out. So yeah, this which just fades out nice. So for the next verse, like, there's nothing really interesting for this part right here. It's just a basic same as the intro. The only interesting thing happens here, so I'll just play from
Say
here.
it again, say it again. Again. Won't you say it again? Say it again, say it again. Say it again, say it again. Say it again, say it again. Say it again, say it again.
Okay, so these drums are all from Vinka's pack. He sent me this pack and I was like, you know what, I like all the drums and I need to use every single one, and for some reason they just work. So yeah, this is how they sound. Like, they sound so good together. It just works so well. Reese bass here, I didn't really want to do 808s, you know, your typical 808s. It's not that I don't like them, it's kind of like it didn't really fit the vibe. I feel like it was either too much energy or like not enough energy. I was kind of stuck, and I kind of felt like, you know, I do 808s quite a lot. They weren't really that interesting in this particular song, so I did 808 slides with the Reese bass, which sounded incredible. Like, let's see. And with the whole drums. Sorry about the CPU. It just sounds so good. For the second half, I change up the drum pattern and I add this hi-hat, and I bring back the regular Reese bass with the melody. Vocals, I add this like vocodelayer, which is vocal synth, which is very CPU intensive on my particular computer. Yeah, these are the settings that I went with. You kind of just have to play around with vocal synth to get the sort of the style that you want. I just, you know, messed around and I found this style for this particular song to be the best fit, in my opinion. Yeah, and there's nothing really else going on. There's like an extra atmosphere layer. Bridge, which consists of piano, beautiful chords, like like the whole song is such a beautiful song in my opinion. I hope you guys like this song too, and it's not just me. Well, the piano is from Decent Sampler, Soul's piano. I'll reload it for some reason. This version of Decent Sampler has the tendency to unload plugin things, the image. Yeah, this is how it looks like. It's completely free. You can find it on Piano Book, and it's really beautiful. Like, see, it sounds pretty nice. It's such a beautiful piano. Definitely recommend it. With the melody from the other piano, the metallic piano, cool, with this telephone filter, reverb, OTT, and Soundgoodizer. And then there's like a vocoder layer too. which is very laggy. So I'll just turn off vocal synth at the moment. It's gonna sound. I'll just mute this vocal for the time being, since you get the idea. I added cinematic drums too, but filtered them so they kind of give the vibe of something coming, but not in your face sort of thing, because since I wanted this part to be a bit emotional. Just Kashmir drums, your typical Kashmir drums, everybody uses this. And then the whole build-up. For this particular build-up, I did some slides with a Reese bass. To show that the drop is different, to have sort of more energy than the first build-up. Since there are cinematic drums too, and the drop is different from the first drop, so I wanted a bit of a different build-up too. So for the final drop, I didn't want it to repeat the same drop. I could have done that, but I didn't really felt like it. So I want it a bit more unique, a bit more different. So I went with the similar style of Andromeda. If you haven't heard my song Andromeda, I'll play you a little bit of it right now. Yeah, so that's how I wanted it. So I used the same synth that I used in Andromeda. Which is, if I can find it, which is basically saws, 2 saw waves with the filter. With the filter opening up every time that the plays. It has hyperdimension, phaser, chorus, delay, compressor, OTT, reverb, and EQ. For the processing, it's pretty basic. To make it a bit more choppy, I have in the post-processing, I have another LFO thing, so it sounds a bit more choppy. For the rest of the effects, it's just OTT, EQ, sound godizer, wider, and that's it. That's how I made the main synth for Andromeda too. Drums change a bit too. I added more Foley in between the bass sounds. I added a ride hit. I added another snare layer, this metallic snare, and I changed up the hi-hat in the second part. On the second half of the drop, I re-added the same vocal chop that I had in the first drop, but I did the same thing that I did with the main synth, which is, have a LFO going crazy and to give it a bit more movement, I added reverb and delay to have a lot of things chopping, and plus it does have sidechain too. So it makes it a bit more movement and it gives it such a cool vibe, in my opinion. This is kind of my signature sound, so yeah, it's pretty cool. That's about it for the drop. Let's move on to the outro, I guess. So to get out of to finish up the drop and bring the listener in the outro, for the outro, I added this camera sound from Arcando. This is from Arcando. It's pretty cool. For the outro, I only have a rain layer, Reese bass, which is filtering and pitching in, just like the intro with the atmosphere thing. So it kind of like pulls you in for the outro. I had driving melody, vocal, filtered vocal, like filtered out vocal, very emotional sounding. And there's a high pass filter that's fading up the respace. And to end it off, I have the same hit that I have in the intro. Yeah, so that's about it. That's a whole song covered. Let me know if you found this useful and if you would like to see more of these. Sorry guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you want to know something specifically. Just send me a DM on Instagram or just comment below. And yeah, if you found this useful, hopefully you would like to subscribe to see more. Maybe even hit the bell. Yeah, if you enjoyed, then it would be appreciated. Again, you should stream this song, the links will be below. If you want my sample pack or preset pack, it should be, again, same link in description. And see you soon. Goodbye.